my name is Claudia, and this is for KIN 562, Exercise, Fitness, and Education. Today we're going to be doing CAP 3, Part 1, where we'll go ahead and go over lower extremity exercises. The 3 exercises we've included for today are going to be the barbell back squat, barbell deadlift, and as well as barbell lunges. And so you remember our subject, Rio. Again, thank you so much for being here, and we'll get started. Okay? You know what All right. So the first exercise we're going to do for resistance is going to be the barbell squat. We're going to start off with your body weight being a resistance. That's kind of what we're going to begin with, and then we'll add weight as we go. So for the barbell squat, when you are doing it, let's say if this was the barbell, so I don't want to knock you out with this, you're going to want your feet at about shoulder width apart, right? Naturally. If you toe out a little bit, that's appropriate. That's fine. You don't have to have your feet, I don't want to hit you with that, totally straightforward. Stand naturally as you would, about shoulder width just beyond the shoulders, right? Let the bar rest on the upper back. Okay, we're using a modified mop post here, so you want to try and make sure that you're maintaining symmetry with the bar on the back, right? Not up into that cervical spine. Make sure it's resting on the upper back musculature. Also, hands just outside of shoulder width. You don't need a really wide grip. You don't want a narrow one. Just outside of shoulder width. And when you're squatting, it's going to be like a simple squat. When you do the squat, you want to reach back with the hips by keeping the chest nice and tall. So one of the things that people have issues with is they don't go to full depth. They do like a half depth. Does that make sense? So you want to make sure that you're doing appropriate full depth when you're getting to that squat, full range of motion. Chest nice and tall. You're going to be having your eye line straight on the horizon, right? And you're just going to be dropping down as much as you can comfortably, without pain, obviously, if your knee or hip bothers you. Let's have you do 5 with just this. Okay? So you're going to place that overhead. Very good. Let's make sure you have symmetry, because when we start adding weight, you want that symmetry, so that's pretty symmetrical. Okay, you're going to let that rest into the back musculature. You don't want that hitting the spinous process. Let's get your feet just a little bit further out, so just outside the shoulder. Very, very good. And we want the hands just outside the shoulders. Are you comfortable? Yes. Your shoulders okay?
No.
Okay. You want to have like, when you go down into that squat, you're going to perform 5 squats.
Okay.
Let's see how you do. Good. Okay. 1, 2. Good. Okay. Very good. And do you mind doing a profile, a lateral view as well? So a couple of things that we're looking for is we want to make sure that they're not relying too much on one leg versus the other, right? Also, when you're looking at them from an anterior view, you want to make sure that those knees are staying fairly midline, fairly centered and equal. You don't want to see them present with a valgus collapse, right? So very good. You want that tall trunk. You can see a little bit of a posterior tilt when they're getting deeper down into that squat. So some of the implications that they consider can be either hip range of motion or tight posterior chain musculature. Very good. Any problems? No. Okay. Very, very good. A couple of other things you want to look for is see if they start coming up on their toes, coming forward, and that heel lifting off. If they're having issues of depth, like we did with the FMS, you can introduce a little, like a little 2x4 behind the heel. And also you want to make sure that you're preserving the back. So a nice neutral spine. So far so good. I would say keeping the sternum nice and tall, keeping everything really tight so you can accept the weight. You want to be conscientious. It's good that you have good hip flexion, decent depth, but also making sure you have like a nice little sternal raise. You're keeping that sternum upright while at the same time flexing. So you want to make sure that you're not totally bending over at the chest too much. Okay. Very, very nice. I'm going to introduce this. This is the one that you said you were comfortable with.
Yes.
So I don't want to like overdo it. So here we go. So I'm going to bring this behind you. So this is going to be 10-pound barbell. So same thing. All right. You're good?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to check you out for symmetry here. This is our at-home fitness system on a budget. Are you okay with where this is? This isn't bothering you at all?
No.
Okay. Very, very good. Let's bring the hands just a little bit closer to the shoulders. Yeah, very good. Nice and tall. So for cueing, I would say keep the chest up nice and tall, like you're doing a sternal raise. Eyes on the horizon. Really good depth, but make sure you don't start to fold over too much. All right, okay. So maintain that overall control. Let's do 3. very good. Okay, one. Remember to reach your bone back, and yep. Very, very good. That was a good one. Nice. Excellent. Good. And are you doing okay?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have you do a comfortable profile. Other things to look for as far as stability from the ground up, you're looking at also overpronation. Sometimes that control that musculature in the feet as well, making sure that we're creating a solid base of support. Really nice tall sternum, really tall on the chest. Very, very good. Very good. Okay, excellent. That's it. I'll take this from you. You're all right with that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to be our barbell squat. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next exercise is going to be the barbell deadlift. So this is going to place great emphasis on the posterior chain musculature. So again, this isn't going to be similar to the squat movement. This is going to be a little bit more segmented, or as far as cueing goes, I would typically teach it in a more segmented fashion. And of course, so what we'll do is there's also alternate grip or hook grip. I'm going to have you do hook grip. That's where both your hands are going to be coming over. Exactly. All right. So also important to keep an eye on the bar path, having some kinesthetic awareness, especially with this movement. So spatial awareness of your body and relative to time and space, in a sense.
Okay.
Keep an eye on that bar path. Keep that bar close to the body to limit where that projection goes. You don't want that weight coming too far forward. All right?
All right.
So with that, when you're doing it, natural stance, right? You want you to be looking straight forward, and we're going to do traditional hook grip.
Okay.
So you want this bar nice and close, right up against the shins. Sometimes when people are training, you'll see their shins get a little scuffed up,
Okay.
especially for teaching. You want that bar to come right up against the body.
Okay.
All right. Again, it's not going to be a squat, and for the up motion, it's going to be segmented. So when you're like this and you're looking forward, chest nice and tall, this is going to be segmented. So instead of like the whole squat motion together, we're going to have you this flush, and you're going to do extension of the hips and extension of the knees and then the hips. So what I'll do is I'll start again for you. Forgive me. You're going to be looking straight forward, nice tall chest, and it's going to start with extension of the knees, then the hips.
Okay.
So looking forward, you got extension of the knees and then the hips.
Okay.
For the downward motion or the eccentric portion of it, it's going to be the hips and then the knees.
All right.
So it's really important to know it's not a squat. It's going to be, when I'm teaching it especially, it's going to become more fluid as you develop the skill and the movement, but it's going to be, I'm going to teach in a segmented fashion.
All right.
I'll have you do 5 of these. That sounds good. So really nice and tall on the chest. Let that weight kind of fall back. Very good. Nice and tall. You okay? Okay. No problem. No problem. Again, it's gonna be a little bit easier with the weight because you'll have counterweight.
Okay.
Okay. So nice and tall at the chest. You're gonna want that. Yeah, that bar pat to be nice and flush to the body. So you're gonna go ahead with extension of the knees and then the hip. Very good. There's one. Very good.
And the knee and the hip.
Very good. 2. Very good. Nice tall chest. Make sure that back isn't starting to collapse. Okay, there's 3. Very good. 4. Okay, very good. 5. So you did it a little bit slower, nice and slow until you get it down. Eventually it'll become very fluid and you'll be able to do them in succession.
Yeah.
But that's going to be the barbell deadlift with essentially this is our resistance being applied. I'm not introducing weight initially until I teach them and they kind of get the mechanics of it down. So are you ready for weight?
Yes.
Again, I've got the weights that you like. So we're gonna do the same thing. Let's see if these reach. Actually, do you mind holding that for me? Right there. There we go. So you want it for this, for the deadlift, you want to have it somewhat up off the ground. You don't want, if you have plates that aren't quite big enough, and these are the plates that we were able to get, they're a little bit smaller. So having those plates on the ground, it's going to kind of disrupt the biomechanics of this lift. We do want the barbell to kind of reach around mid-shin or about 9 inches or so. Very good, nice and tall with that chest. Very good. So knee extension first. Good. Make sure that back is nice and tight because we're working posterior chain. There you go. Okay, good. Hold on, take a minute, reset, kind of get your weight if you need to readjust, okay? And whenever you're, so whenever you're ready.
ready. We'll get into the starting position. Very good. Knees first and tall back. Good. There's one. Very, very good. And what we'll do, if you don't mind, is I'm going to make a profile.
Okay,
Here.
sure.
Excuse me. So we'll have you pop right in between the two pillows so we can appreciate a lateral view. Get that out for you. Okay, good. And again, for this lift, we do want this barbell to meet them about at least midway up the shin, depending on their height. About 9 inches is appropriate off the ground. Okay, nice tall chest. Really get comfortable in that position. Very, very good. Okay, very good. Very nice tall chest. Very good. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So again, some things we're looking for. Pretty good job. We'll take it nice and slow. Like I said, as you develop the skill, you'll be able to be a little bit more quicker with that.
Yeah.
And it'll become more of a motion in unison, but really nice job. I do recommend teaching it initially, especially with lightweight. You can get away with that. Segmenting it because it can be confusing. Sometimes there's a tendency to reverse it where the hips come up first and then the knees and there's some confusion.
Yeah.
Also, as you add weight, it's a little bit easier
Yes.
with the weight because you've got a counterweight. Some things we're looking for from the lateral point of view, keeping an eye on that bar pad, making sure they're not tipping forward or losing their balance. Other things we want to be aware of as well is when they're lifting, especially from a lateral view, you can appreciate the back. They should keep, this is going to work the posterior chain, so everything should be nice and tight. This is not a lift you want someone to rush into. When they're doing it, really set up and get comfortable. Does that make sense? So you don't want to rush through it. So very, very good. All right, so that's going to be our barbell deadlift. This is going to be gradual. This type of lift does afford you the ability to lift more weight. You are using the whole, most of them at posterior chain. Very nice job. Thank you so much.
The next exercise we're going to do is the barbell lunge. This can also be done with dumbbells, but we're going to go ahead and take them over the motion using body weight as a resistance, so apply body weight. And then once you feel comfortable with that, we're going to introduce the barbell, or modified barbell.
Okay.
So with that, when you're doing it, same thing. I don't want to take an eye out here. When you've got the weight, you certainly want to be able to appreciate quality symmetry because you don't want it off to one side or the other. Same thing, eyes on the horizon. Also, when you're taking this lunge, so you're going to be doing a lunge. So it's called a barbell lunge. It's just like your traditional lunge that you do with your hands on your hips. Eyes towards the horizon. Take an adequate step forward. You don't want to have too narrow of a step, right? You want to make sure you're taking an appropriate step forward. So, eyes on the horizon, and you're just going to be doing a lunge. So you're going to come up, heel strike, land in that heel, and then you're going to come down.
Okay.
All right, and you can do repeated bouts if you want. So again, making sure you have pretty good stride length, right? And you can do repeated bouts. Whoops. See, I've got to work on some strengthening too. All right, let's have you do 5 to begin with.
Just one leg.
You can alternate if you'd like as well. We'll do one leg for an anterior view, and then we'll do the opposite if you'd like for the lateral view. Chest nice and tall, right? You want to keep that center of gravity directly over that back leg. There you go. Very good. So things we're looking for is we want to make sure that they're not twisting, or make sure that both the hips are facing forward, that knee is right over the ankle, right? That they're taking an adequate enough step, that they're demonstrating good stability. This is also a movement that we included in the FMS. So we want to make sure there's appropriate flexion at the hip, and there's appropriate flexion at the knee. Very good. Do you want to do the lateral view? Sure. Thank you. Another thing that I used for cueing for this, so you're doing a great job so far. Okay. There you go. Very, very good. Excellent. So what I do for cueing for this exercise is oftentimes I will tell people when you're taking that lunge, drop in the back leg. Let that rear leg lead you, because oftentimes when people are focused on the front leg, they tend to lean forward or lean into it with that front leg leading. So usually what I say, go ahead when you have your stride length set, drop in the back leg. Let that back leg lead the exercise. Are you ready for your weights?
Yes.
Okay. So again, these are the ones that you're comfortable with, so we're going to keep this. All right. So same thing. Yeah, it's going to be a back squat type, or back squat style. Good. Very good. Make sure that's leaning on the posterior musculature of the back and shoulders, and it's not pushing into that spinous process. There we go. Okay, same thing. Eyes on the horizon. Take an adequate step. Find your balance. Very, very good. I'll do 3. Keeping an eye on that knee, making sure that you're not starting to see that valgus collapse. We don't want that knee poking towards that midline. Okay, very good. We want the hips fairly level. We don't want any rotation or twisting. Very good. And so like I said, the cueing, dropping that back leg. Let that back leg bring you down. Very good. You doing okay?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. Here, I'll take that weight from you. Thank you. So that's going to be our CAP 3 part 1.